On today's episode of the NBA Draft Junkies podcast, I'm your host, James Barlowe. I'm going to give you a temperature check on 4 prospects: Caleb Wilson, Tyler Tanner, Alijah Arenas, and Nate Ament. Stay tuned. Tuning in. Shout out to everyone who's listening, who's subscribed to my writing on Substack at NBABigBoard.com, as you subscribe to the YouTube channel, and if you just listen on Spotify or Apple or wherever you get your audio format from. I appreciate you. I apologize for the delay in podcast. As you can see, I got my Midnight Love voice on. Daughter coughed in my face, had a little sinus infection. So, been a little bit under the weather. I'm going to thug it out, do what I got to do, because it's conference play. Guys are playing. I'm still watching a ton of film. If you follow me on Twitter, I'm still tweeting. It's just, I've been sick. So, I feel a little bit better. I need to get this podcast off because the weather's supposed to be terrible here in Dallas. So, let me get this off before the power goes out or if I can't watch any games this weekend. So, I wanted to title this podcast a temperature check. For one, because my temperature is feeling a lot better, but also just wanted to, briefly discuss a couple of guys who are maybe trending in different directions, or maybe I haven't had a chance to get to some of them. I know in the case of Tyler Tanner, I don't feel like I've devoted enough time. Not to say I haven't watched him. I've watched Tyler Tanner. I'm very aware, but I don't think I've given enough input to my thoughts of him as a prospect. Yes, I do want to talk about his performance against Arkansas, just overall what I think about Tyler Tanner. Definitely want to talk about Nate Ament and Caleb Wilson, but I guess let me just start off with Alijah Arenas. So Alijah Arenas, if you don't know who Alijah Arenas is, that is Gilbert Arenas' son. He was a McDonald's All-American. He reclassed, but he's still like the correct age for where he is, as far as he'll be turning 19, I believe, in March. He had a knee injury. He had a car accident. It didn't look too good for him. He had a rough year from after playing in the McDonald's All-American game to where he is now. He has recovered from the knee injury, and thankfully, more importantly, he recovered from the car accident. So Alijah Arenas played his first game, and again, I'm recording this on the Thursday, the 22nd. He played his first game on Wednesday, the 21st, against Northwestern. And in that game, Alijah Arenas shot 3 for 15 from the field, finished with 8 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. He played 29 minutes. I believe he played 18 minutes in the first half. But just overall, I did want to give my thoughts and just trying to figure out what the plan is for Alijah Arenas. If you were to ask me, and he's not on any of my boards, he's not on my 2026 board right now, just because of the knee injury, and he's missed a lot of time. Had he not had the knee injury, and if you were to ask me what I thought about Arenas going into this season, I would think he was a top 20 pick, top 20 talent, maybe even a lottery level talent. There's just some things that I wish were different about his game. And again, I'm not going to hold this 3 for 15 performance against him. This is his first game in a very long time. You can do all the chair workouts, simulation against the 5'9" trainers, even practice against your own teammates. It's not a real game. So my take about Alijah Arenas is not about that performance. I'm not overreacting to him shooting 3 for 15. I'm not underreacting, or whatever the word is, to him shooting 3 for 15. I think Alijah Arenas is extremely talented. He looks every bit of 6'7". He has a very good handle, and as my brother would say, he has a scorers, or he's definitely out there trying to get his buckets. This is my evaluation of him going into the season. I wish that he saw the floor a little bit better as far as like playmaking and passing. And on the AAU level, high school level, I almost want to throw out the high school because, he was out there with the family men. No disrespect to the family man. I am a family man. I'm just, an older one. But for the Compton Magic, he didn't play a lot of games, but he did average 21, I believe. Shot the ball well from the field. I believe he got to the foul line 8 times a game. Low volume, 3-point shooting, but when you watch the film, the playmaking is just not there right now. And that's not to say that's something he can't work on and improve, but he's just a one-track like scorer to me. And I would like to see those guys develop a little bit more, do a little bit more, because again, while he is a gifted scorer, takes a lot of dribble, I guess you could say a lot of hijacking of the offense. And I want to see what it looks like on the college level. Now, with that being said, the injury happened, and he had his moments. You could see the talent in that game against Northwestern. I don't know what it looks like. I'm not a fortune teller. What it looks like him for the rest of the year. I have him as a top 10 player in my 2027 board that is not going to come out till the end of this draft. But I've been working on it. I mean, I got boards for 26, 27, 28, 29. I mean, hey, I'm draft junkie, James. I got to, make sure I'm living my raps. But I have Alijah Arenas in the 2027 draft just because I think that the ability is there. I think if he comes back to USC or wherever situation, but let's say he goes back to USC, the ball's in his hands, he operates more as a playmaker than just a scorer, then I think he has the potential to be a top 5 pick. But there's a lot of ifs in that. But you can't deny the size that he has and the handle and the create. I mean, he shot a 360 layup in his first collegiate game. Like the creativity, those things are all positives. But there are some things I do want to see Alijah Arenas do a little bit differently. But definitely rooting for him. I don't want to sit here and say I know him, but like I saw him at the McDonald's All-American game practice, and like he shook everybody's hand on his way out. Like you could tell like he's a good kid. I'm rooting for a good kid every single time. Like he didn't know me. I don't think he knows me, but like he, appreciate you for coming, man. Like, hey man, I'm just, a dude with some dreads that's just here to watch. But rooting for Alijah Arenas. I will definitely be monitoring his performances this season. Again, I think today he's a 2027 guy. If that changes, I will be the first, not the first, but I will definitely move him to where he needs to be. Do I see a situation where if he has a good season, he tests? Absolutely. But I think with his talent, his tools, and the 2027 draft not being as strong, he has the potential to be a top 5 pick in that draft versus a top 20 pick in this draft, especially after coming off of the situations that he had going on at the end of 2025. I did want to get to Caleb Wilson. Caleb Wilson's performance again. I know it's Notre Dame. Notre Dame coach, he rushed referees. But Caleb Wilson in that game against Notre Dame, he had 22.7 rebounds, 5 assists, 8 of 11 shooting, 1 for 3 from 3, and he had 2 stocks. I'm checking the temperature on Caleb Wilson, not because he dominated Notre Dame. Like, I don't think I care about Caleb Wilson box scores going forward because they're all going to be great. Minus that game against SMU, and even like his bad game was like 14-5. All of his games are going to be great. And his highlight tape at the end of the year could be 10 minutes long because he's trying to dunk everything. I mentioned on my most recent podcast that I did where I was breaking down, or I called it Behind the Big Board. Footnote, I'm going to do it behind the big board. What I'm going to do is February 1st is a weekend, I believe. So what I'm going to do is I will release, I gotta check my hoop schedule because again, I got to make sure I'm living my raps. I'm going to release my big board on a Saturday, and then I'm going to go live on Sunday night, and I'm going to try that format out. So be on the lookout for that. I'll definitely try to prep it beforehand, but I'm going to go live, and I'll talk basketball with whoever wants to, if it's one person, 2 people, I don't care. I like talking basketball. And I say that to say this, Caleb Wilson, I think I had him at 6 on my last big board, but I did mention in the behind the big board that he's in the 4 to 6 range. And it's really, really not hard, but one game, Caleb Wilson, the Notre Dame game against Caleb Wilson looked like He was amazing. The balance was good. Again, we already know he's dunking everything. The jump shot looked good. The post moves look good. That version of Caleb Wilson is the 4th pick in the draft. And again, I don't expect it's hard to be consistent at 18, 19 years old. But that version of Caleb Wilson is the one that I think is more than just a energy guy, rim running guy. Other versions, like against Michigan State, there were games, just other games where his balance is just not good. He's falling down, and he doesn't have anything I don't think he has a go-to move. Those are the versions that kind of make me think, is he like luxurious Marvin Bagley versus I'm still trying to figure out what that version of him that I saw against Notre Dame is. Very good version. That's the 4th pick in the draft to me. So Caleb Wilson, I'm not looking at any box scores, but he just made several moves against, again, it's Notre Dame. I understand they're struggling right now. But he made several plays that really bode well for what he could become. And those are the plays that he made are the ones where you say, you know what, we take him at 4 and we can work with this because this is a 20 and 10 guy in the NBA, not just in college. So shout out to Caleb Wilson. Again, 4 to 6, and at the same time, like Kingston Fleming, that was at the Arizona State game. Like, he's amazing. And then as I record this, before I recorded this, I watched the Houston Rockets lost to the Philadelphia 76ers, and I'm like, that top end speed that Kingston Fleming has, and athleticism, that's a lot of that Tyrese Maxey has. Now, if you say, I'm worried about Kingston Fleming's free throw rate in comparison to Tyrese Maxey, I believe Kingston Fleming's had a 27% free throw rate, has a 27% free throw rate right now, whereas Tyrese had a 34% free throw rate. 3-point shooting numbers weren't too far off. I don't know if Kingston has that. I'm not saying Kingston isn't a dog. I don't know if he has that scoring dog that Tyrese has. But I just watched Tyrese get to the rim every single time against one of the best defenses in the NBA, one of the better defenders in the NBA, and Amen Thompson. And I see I see Kingston Fleming, and I'm like, man, maybe he might be Tyrese Maxey, he is an all-star. Very good player. I think a top 25, 20 player in the NBA. I don't know how you guard him. You just hope that he's off. And that's why, again, to wrap up the conversation about Caleb Wilson, Kingston is Caleb Wilson in play at 4. I don't know what Jaden Quains is going to do. The knee is still bothering him. Maybe I don't know what he's going to do. And then Michael Brown is supposed to be coming back very soon. So, but I just wanted to give my thoughts on Caleb Wilson. Very much so in play at 4. I don't want to say, I'm still working on my February update of my big board. Maybe he's there at 4. Just know that 4, 5, and 6, those guys there are like a lot of my peers in the space do tiers. So that's where Flemings and Caleb Wilson are for me. Now, speaking of my peers, a lot of them are extremely high on Tyler Tanner, and I see why. I'm not as high. Again, if you are watching this and you follow me, I don't have him, Tyler Tanner, in my first round. I had him at like 31, 32 in that range. Is he somebody that I could see being selected late in the first round? Possibly. And my concern, one of my biggest concerns with Tyler Tanner was the size. And this game against Arkansas, I think that it was a mixed bag of results. There were a couple plays where Darius Acuff, they list at 190, looks like he's about 200, where you could tell he was, obviously he's stronger, but like you could tell that level of strength bothered Tyler Tanner. But then there was another play where he had Darius Acuff in front of him, and he beat him to the spot because Tyler Tanner is extremely fast and his feet move well, and he stripped the ball of Darius Acuff. So Tyler Tanner, the defensive concerns are going to be there regardless of what he does on the offensive end. Again, the NBA has changed. you're hunting small guys. That's just, it is what it is. And part of that is the reason why some of the point guards, this is extremely talented point guard class, but it's hard for me at least it's hard for me to evaluate how this point guard class is going to fare in the NBA because the NBA has changed so much for the point guard position. But Tyler Tanner, 11 points, 6 assists, 3 of 10 shooting. On the season, I believe he's just 3 of 21 on floaters. And that's a concern for me again. While he's ultra fast in NBA spacing, he's going to be even harder to get out of the paint. You're going to have to play drop coverage against him, and he's going to have to be a better scorer off the dribble and especially on floaters because, again, as talented as look, eventually they figured out Ja Morant, and Ja Morant's got a 50-inch vertical. So you have to be able to knock down floaters, and that's what Tyler Tanner, I think, on the offensive end is going to have to improve on the most because they're going to target him on defense. I do think he puts up a great fight on defense, minus that play against Trevon Brazile where that's what you don't want to see your 5'11", 6-foot guard in that situation. And by that time, Arkansas probably had 10 dunks already. But Tyler Tanner's he's going to always have to prove himself on the defensive end. All point guards do. Really, all guards do. You're going to get targeted. The NBA is about hunting mismatches. Can you guard somebody in space one-on-one? Can you guard your yard? But on offense, like I said, I do want to see improved efficiency from him, especially in the mid-range, because, again, I'm going to have a conversation about mid-range with the next player I'm going to talk about, but my ball handler, really, I want all my point guards to be able to shoot mid-range jumpers. Not necessarily have a extremely high diet of mid-range jumpers, depending on what level of player you are, but you can't always get to the rim. When you snake pick and roll, that free-to-line jumper, you're going to have to be able to take a couple of them. Now, Tyrese Maxey, that's a different dude, but at the same time, Tyrese has enough boogie off the bounce. He shoots step back. Tyrese is a great offensive player. So I do want to see Tyler Tanner improve from the mid-range. And lastly, on this seems like brief episode of the NBA Draft Junkies podcast, as you can see, man, I sound like Keith Sweat right now. But Nate Ament, I am monitoring the progress of Nate Ament. He's had some good games in the SEC. And I know in my last podcast, I was like, and another podcast before that, I'm like, I don't know if he's a 2026 guy. I say that speaking for me. I think Nate Ament is going to be, because he's 6'10", because there is some ability to put the ball on the ground. And if you sit here and say, you know what, at his worst, I know he's shooting 28% from three, I believe, on the season. I know he's shooting 23% in conference play from three. We can improve his shooting. We'll take away some of the ball handling duties that he has. We don't think that he's going to be putting the ball on the ground as much. He's shooting a lot of mid-range jumpers, but we'll say at 6'10", he'll be able to knock some shots down. His efficiency at the rim will get better because he's going to be in a scaled-down role. And a team is going to take him. But I think, depending on how this conference play goes, I'm not surprised if he stays in the draft. He's going to be drafted high. I wouldn't take him as high just because I just don't know what he is long term. If you're buying him as a shot creator versus somebody that plays off of people, I think he's somebody that plays off people. And with that being said, I think he's a top 20 pick versus maybe another year of confidence, whatever, ball handling. He becomes more of a shot creator, and then that means he could be a top 10 pick again in a draft that isn't as strong. But in conference play, only 10% of his shots have been at the rim, and 40% of his attempts are at the mid-range. Again, I know it may sound like I'm contradicting myself. I just said Tyler Tanner needs to be better in the mid-range, and I'm telling Nate Ament he's shooting too many mid-range jumpers. It makes sense because Nate Ament struggles to beat guys off the dribble. These are shots you settle for versus shots the defense is giving you. And I just think that, he's somebody that I am going to monitor. Like I said, he had a very good game against Texas A&M That was probably his best game of the season as far as just putting it together, putting the ball on the floor, getting to the basket. He's been getting fouled a lot, and he's been productive. But I was not expecting him to struggle shooting from three this season. I did see the rim finishing not being great, but he's just somebody I'm still trying to figure out. And at the same time, like I said, I understand the size, I understand the ball handling ability. I just wish he shot the ball better, and I wish that he had more. I don't necessarily think it's a strength thing for him. I think it's a confidence thing / physical thing, not physical strength, but foot speed, where he just can't get to the rim at times. And that's why I think he's somebody who probably will scale down at the NBA level. So, but definitely wanted to give him his props for it because he's been playing better, and it's just somebody I'm going to monitor because, like I said, the SEC play is extremely tough. Well, that concludes today's episode of NBA Draft Junkies podcast. I'm trying to get these last second shots up before my voice goes out. Weather permitting, I'll drop something fresh for you on Monday morning. So appreciate you for tuning in. Appreciate everybody for subscribing, listening, interacting with me on Twitter, social media. I am James Barlowe, and I am out.